Here's some company names that I had posted in 2002 about these companies seem to be mentioned in conjunction with the Montauk Project in one regard or another, whether they were working there or have supplied equipment there. I don't know. This stuff is not in the back of my mind. Cashon, Vitreous, Chef Air, Amar Ventures. I seem to recall that having something to do with Chef Air, like a subsidiary, or they bought Chef Air or something. Cardion, they made audio equipment also. Spears Benzac, something. Spears Benzac something, and Solomon. I think I'm missing the third. Spears Benzac something. I've seen the name Sperry on some of the equipment there. RCA, I think, has come up in the books and the story. ITT. Uh, some of the companies have ties to Vancouver, Canada. Something about Chef Air was bought by the Greyhound Corporation. Okay. Then sold to question mark. Sartignaro. That came up again. Uh, Syracuse. I worked for Montauk Air Force Station for 2 years, 1978-1980, as a maintenance mechanic. John S. April 11th, 2002. The old power plant on the base, as well as other maintenance duties. I lived in town. Found his way around the old complex and bunker facility, started exploring. Uh, Supervisor had become aware that he was snooping. He was reprimanded for it. Suspicions kept growing. He felt compelled to explore, but he was aware that he was being followed to and from work. He eventually got spooked. His home was ransacked twice. He eventually quit and moved away, 1,500 miles away. We had a guy named Kaz that was on Parareality's website. I also worked at Camp Hero since '96. Could you contact me? Was your supervisor George Larson or Tom Grency? Grency? Do you remember John Rocker? Yeah, I remember that guy. He's a pitcher. Um, Syracuse again. I want to get this stuff in, but it's hard to paraphrase it when you're trying to read. Something about Dick Cavett. He appeared in Rocky Horror. Didn't they do that song Time Warp? Time Warp again? That's strange. And then the Nichols Mark Hamill Cavett story, the connection. Mark Hamill from Star Wars. Cavett's house burnt down there in Montauk. Whoops. I don't know if that was suspicious. Something about an Ong's hat, which I never understood. I think that was a cover story, or used as a collection point for to keep tabs on people. Ong's hat. Project Dream Sleep, which is not often heard about. It's something about Project Dream Sleep, and it was used against Jimmy Carter, who was an enemy of the CIA. I don't know. Who knows? And Nichols and Cameron, Duncan Cameron was one of the Montauk Project Philadelphia experiment survivors, and became Al Biolek or something. His personality was downloaded. I don't understand that whole thing, but it's pretty interesting. Elysian Fields at Montauk is about a mysterious pumping station on Cleveland Street, which is thought to have an underground elevator in its garage because cars go in and never come out. A pumping station on Cleveland Street, huh? Okay. The Omni was used in conjunction with the Delta T antenna. I don't know in what fashion, in what regards. Who knows? I remember emailing Preston about an idea I had, and another colleague, he came up with the same idea. It wasn't anything psychic about it, synchronicity. Just natural conclusion of two ideas about building a spinner, a vortex. And I had emailed him about, well, what if you use this and this, and he just never replied. And I was talking to my colleague on the phone and mentioning that, and he's like, oh yeah, I asked him a similar question, and he didn't reply to that either. Which, was odd because he would always reply something. Didn't like the question, or was a little too close to something. Or, number three, was concerned that he never thought of the idea himself. Who knows? People have egos. But the stories Preston would tell about, he was working on the project, and there was this thing that he had to work with, this lizard person, this reptile person. It was an alien, and it didn't smell good, and he was using Drano to dump the leads of electric leads, and he had some chemical that he needed. And he came back and was like, "Where's the drain?" I was like, "Oh, the thing said I drank it." "You drank the drain?" He said, "Oh yeah, boy, was it good." Obviously, you could get drunk on this stuff or something. So they were ordering a lot of Drano for this thing. Some about 9/11. A background in 9/11 also. I had a 500-page book about 9/11 coming out in 2005, and basically the project got quashed. Experienced a lot of surveillance and being followed, and things getting stolen, and basically it led to a mock and not mock, but a possible assassination attempt on my part, which I survived. Good, lucky to be alive. So, hence to say, the book never came out, never published it, even though it was set to be published. And, retired from that subject. It's just not worth it. I mean, certain things, that and JFK, you can't do much too deeply in those fields. The accelerator ring fits the atomic standard chart. I think we're talking about the circle in Montauk, the dimensions of it. Uh, Strange personnel at Camp Hero. A lot of animal remains people have reported finding their mutilated animal remains. Mark Hamill connected to L. Ron Hubbard, Church of Scientology, or whatever that is. Uh, he was the head of Scientology. John Quinn found a box outside Montauk Tower addressed to General Nichols. I think no relation to Preston Nichols. Preston Nichols saw someone peer out of hatch in the senior center, scurried away. Good, we got through that. I wanted to touch on some of that stuff because some of it is kind of eye-opening to some of you and important. Okay, dream catcher. I'm also a past Bigfoot contactee. I've had them as basically neighbors sometimes. Found them to be just non-confrontational. Not really concerned with humans. They won't speak directly to you. They speak English. They won't speak directly to a human. They're more concerned about nature, food gathering, and just, staying out of sight. I had a front page article in the New York Press come out about it. Bigfoot on Staten Island was a great front page picture there by Matt. Sorry, Matt. I'd like to give you the credit there, but I can't. Swiss cheese memory. But it was a great article, except the editor rewrote some of it. Not much I could do about it, but he wanted certain things in there. Like trash squatch, which I don't. That's typical Manhattan speak. Anything to do with Staten Island, they relegated to. There was a landfill there. Landfill's been closed for years. And there's a lot of forest on Staten Island. And art by Matthew Caserta. Okay. Sounds good. Also spoke at the New Life Expo in 2005. A lecture about Bigfoot and Bigfoot experiences. Staten Island Advance showed up there, and they ran a front page story on it that Sunday about Bigfoot on Staten Island. Okay. Basically, many people believe, I'm probably one of them, that the Monatuk Project is still going on. That's one of the reasons they're so protective of it, and it's one of the reasons there's fiber optic going out there and high voltage cables going out there. Underground conduits they use for those. But the project's still ongoing. I was talking to my colleague about this the other day, and he mentioned that to Preston Nichols when he was still alive, and he said they seem to have a consensus there where the project can't be shut down. I know in the stories they talk about Philadelphia experiment being linked to the Montauk Project. When Al Bielek fell off the ship, he landed in Montauk in 1982, I think it was. The two timelines were connected. And my colleague was asking Preston about this, and sort of a consensus. Yeah, the Montauk Project will never be shut down. It'll never be shut down, rather. And he asked Preston why this is, and he said, well, time loops. I was like, huh? Time loops. And he said, unless you break those time loops, the project will never be shut down. But I think there's still something going on. The project's still ongoing anyway. But even if they were to totally cease operations at Montauk Point, they'd have to break those time loops, and we don't have the technology to break those time loops. We might in the future, or it'd have to be sent back from the future. Like when had an accident at Montauk, as the story goes, and they were trying to shut the project down. Preston was told, go to the 35 and start cutting the waveguides. And he's like, I'm not going in there. And so the guy produced a 45, said, oh yes, you are going in there. And he went in with a portable acetylene torch to start cutting the waveguides for the project, and finally got the project to calm down. And so they were talking about, is the project still ongoing? And it's like, well, yeah, because of time loops. And Preston told him, like, well, you've already broken one time loop just by figuring this out. You've broken one of the loops. And it's like, wow, okay. So we're kind of by figuring things out intuitively or psychically, we can break down some of the loops and some of the mystery and some of the camouflage behind the project just by realizations, and also being exposed to the various technology. Like if you have any technology from Montauk, if you have a receiver that you bought that was at Montauk or something like that, you can experience